So as we move on from our last panel, of course, through the CentreCourt MBA Festival, we're trying to bring you the student voices, those that have actually been through the MBA experience. And I'm delighted to welcome Carolina Perez. Carolina is an MBA from the University of Florida, Warrington, and the Hoff School of Business. Carolina, thanks very much for being with us.
Of course, thanks for having me, Matt.
And I think you're back at home right now with family and safe and well, I hope.
Almost with family, currently quarantined for 2 weeks before making that transition to family, just to be safe.
Well, the Hoff School has been rapidly rising in the rankings in the last 12 months. They've been in the top 25 in US News, in the Financial Times, in The Economist. So I'm sure I'd love to find out, what was so attractive to you. I mean, you came out of Florida International 8-9 years ago, had 4.5 years with UBS working on compliance, high net worth individuals across Latin America. Also very interested, perhaps with the context of this event, some of your volunteer work, because you had been a team leader and even a DJ at a children's hospital, Radio Lollipop, but also with a non-medical volunteer role for supplies and donations to various medical missions. I mean, that seems very relevant as we look at COVID and individuals in business school or thinking of applying to business school. It can sometimes be those personal passions and commitments a great way to show the difference that they can make, no?
I completely agree. And it's actually a piece of myself, a passion that I had that I made sure to carry with me into the UF MBA. In my first year, I served as a vice president on the MBA student board. And one of the positions that reported into me was the community service chair. And it was just something that we really put a lot of effort into. How could we give back to our own local community in Gainesville in just small ways? And, I think it's something that we had spoken about, just that giving doesn't always have to be this extreme burden. It could be a small act of kindness that you give to a neighbor. I think, now more than ever, we're seeing all these stories pop up anywhere of maybe a local neighbor who, because of their age or condition, can't go get their groceries. So doing that small favor for them, or just going to check in, giving a phone call, those random, small acts of kindness, I think, are the ones that go a very long way. Coming into Microsoft specifically, I was very fortunate to see that we are a company that really puts a lot of effort on giving, specifically now during the COVID-19. We've seen Microsoft make our hourly employees whole, even though they've had reduction in hours. We have a new program for a 12-week leave program for either parents or people that can't currently work from home as easily as they would if maybe their children were in school and things like that. So we're very flexible. Our month of giving is usually in October, where Microsoft really increases that matching that they do for every dollar donated. We've now brought that effort into this current month, knowing that now more than ever, there are so many organizations out there that need our donations to be able to go into our communities and provide the help that the communities need.
Right. So, of course, you graduated from the Hoff University of Florida class of 2019 and joined Microsoft in this hybrid role as both an HR business partner, talent manager, project manager. Now, why the MBA? You're already enjoying a successful career. How did that then also open up the opportunity that you're pursuing now?
Yeah. So for me, like you said, I had a very successful career at UBS. I was on track to continue that success. But so much of what drives my day-to-day is passion, and that I'm well connected to the work that I'm doing, that I feel purpose in my work. And I really started to see that there was a people aspect that was missing. I was blessed to have a great manager who at the time, was really invested in what was important to me. And when I brought this up, she said, well, let's make that part of your work. So I would help put together employee development workshops, help with the hiring of new employees. So that's where that HR piece started to come through. And I said, well, I'm currently doing this at a 20% with 80% of my role being something else. Now more than ever, let's take the opportunity to get that graduate degree that I've always wanted to get, do a career switch, and then do HR full time. So it was what brought me to the MBA. I think when I think about why I chose Florida for my MBA, it was that return on investment. I think, you brought it up, for a school that's so highly ranked now. The tuition was unmatched, and I was a Florida resident, so in-state tuition is always great. But the placement statistics were just so attractive. And I knew the Gator Nation was strong. I think we're about 500 million alumni across all colleges and all programs. So I found that it didn't matter what program you belonged to, just saying you were a UF grad meant something big. So it was
that network that really makes a difference, I'm sure. As you reflect, just even from last year, on highlights of the program, was it as much what you learned in the classroom as it was interaction with your fellow classmates?
You know what? I think it's a little bit of everything. The curriculum is well-rounded. There's an opportunity to gain knowledge in many areas, but still do specializations within the program. There's professional and personal development, like I mentioned, either through leadership on the MBA student body, or business case competitions where you could actually go and win money, which was really great. But I think more than anything, what the biggest highlight of the program was that superb career services team. Our program is a boutique program. I think my graduating cohort was 26 people. So they're really able to give that one-on-one attention to my career that I probably wasn't going to find in another program. From day one, the focus was, how do I land that dream job that I wanted? And it was really just about teaching me to tell my story well, to connect the dots between the experiences and the skills that I had at UBS and how they could transfer over into a different company, a different industry, honestly, a different function, because I was a career switcher.
Right. I mean, we talk, of course, about all of the core courses, finance, marketing, you're an ace now in discounted cash flow. What did you learn about yourself on that MBA journey?
To be honest, I learned I had a newfound love for PowerPoint. So I probably ended up at the right company. But I think what I honestly learned was the importance of self-awareness. I think at the beginning of the program, 2 years seems like a long time, but once you're in the program, things move quickly. So I needed to confidently say what my passions were, what my strengths were, what areas of opportunities existed for me to improve myself, so that I could quickly tackle those, knowing that I only had 2 years and that I had to keep that momentum going. So that self-reflection was really important, so as to make sure I was making that right decision now in this transitionary time of my life.
Right. You sort of talked about perhaps only 20% of your pre-MBA position really focusing on your passion, and to be able to sort of revert that. The MBA has an immediate return. It's opened up the doors to an extraordinary company like Microsoft. As you then sort of look further ahead, to the medium long term of your career, how do you think that business school will continue to contribute to your personal and professional development?
I mean, I think we talk about it, aside from the business acumen that is just naturally gained from an MBA program. For me, it was the executive presence, the confidence that I then had, as a young female coming out of a program that really my company, Microsoft, didn't normally recruit at. I almost felt like I had a stage to really set the example and, show what my degree could do. So that executive presence, to be able to have a challenge presented to me and have confidence that the recommendation that I'm giving and the data that I'm using to support it is going to be well received, I think was was a huge changer for me. And these are skills that I was consistently sharpening at the UF MBA program.
So there'll be a next generation applying to business school. What would your biggest piece of advice be to them?
Does it have to be one piece? Because I think I've got three.
Right, okay. Three bullet points on that PowerPoint
I'd
slide of
say
yours.
my threefold advice. Again, going back to that self-awareness piece, just taking time to reflect. If it's that they have an interest in a new area altogether, or maybe they're just looking to accelerate their career, just take that moment to say, what do I want the next stage of my career to look like? So that 10 years down the line, they don't find themselves in that same transition. So really hone in on what I call your why and why now. The second would be work your tail off to get into the school that you want. Get the recommendation letters, spruce up the resume, of course, study for that GMAT, so that at the end of the day, you went to a school that you wanted to because you had all the doors open to be able to make that decision. And I think the last piece, and it's a piece of advice that I was given about midway through my 2 years of business school, was to enjoy those 2 years. Make new friends, really expand your network, and enjoy that spare time, because you just won't have another 2 years like that probably ever again in your life.
Right. Well, clearly we understand why and how, but thank you for bringing up the idea of enjoying it. We've certainly enjoyed hearing your story and part of the CentreCourt Festival. So Caroline, thank you very much. Good luck with the rest of that quarantine, and look forward to staying in touch. Thank you.
Likewise.